Hey everyone, welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Van. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, life coach to women, and author, I've spent my life studying and learning from the stories that make us human. It's my passion and goal to help you shift your mindset and create a lifelong revolution to help you reach your greatest potential. In the years I've worked with women, one concept continually comes up. For some, it's taboo. For others, there's a deep curiosity and desire to understand how it works. For another group, there's complete dismissal. No matter where you stand, you are likely using this principle in your daily life without even realizing it. What is it? It's the law of attraction. Maybe you're scratching your head as to how cognitive behavioral therapy and the law of attraction have any connection, which is fair. So today we're taking a one-on-one deep dive into this universal principle that is the basis of everything I teach. What you focus on grows. We'll go deeper than most conversations surrounding the law of attraction, and we'll dive into the relationship between your thoughts and how they create your reality, how your brain is at the foundation of this concept, and lastly, how to make the law of attraction work in your life. Get ready, because this idea of positivity and abundance is about to become as simple as focusing on your thoughts. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast starts right now. Okay, my dear, let's start off with a bang, shall we? All right, no matter where you sit with the idea of the law of attraction, whether you agree or disagree, I ask that you hang with me because I want to offer you a different take on the subject. Most people have seen or been introduced to the law of attraction thanks to the popularity of the book The Secret, which of course you know is now an international franchise. While the book may have brought the idea to the world stage, it's important to know that the author is not actually the creator of the concept. The law of attraction has been around for centuries, and we're going to dig into that in just a moment. But for those of you who have not dug your heels into the law of attraction, in short, the principle is that like attracts like. There is a fundamental relationship between your thoughts and how you create your reality. If you've listened to any of this podcast, of the other episodes, you know that that is the fundamental piece of most of my teachings. What we think creates how we feel, how we then respond and move through our lives. This is the law of attraction. It's also important before we go any further that I say that the law of attraction is the belief that positive or negative thoughts will bring positive or negative experiences into your life by acting like a magnet to pull it in. We're going to go deep into the brain science behind this thought today because honestly, the mind has a powerful way of attracting things that are in harmony with your thoughts. So important. And there is scientific evidence to support this practice, and I'm going to hand it over to you today. And as I said, many doubt the law of attraction or say it's only for those that are spiritual, but the law of attraction really does have a way of helping you tap into your inner being that often results in more spirituality. So yes, it's a spiritual practice for many, but it doesn't necessarily have to be one if that doesn't align with your belief system, your value. You know, I will say personally, that's what the law of attraction did for me. It helped me tap into a deeper inner being, an inner source within myself. Many also believe that this philosophy works by aligning what we want, what we desire, with God, Source, the universe, Allah, Mecca, Buddha. It doesn't matter whatever you call it, whatever you call your guiding light, it helps connect you there, saying that you have one, right? And while I personally feel this to be true, there is so much going on in the background of the law of attraction that I really want to dive into it. So even if you don't feel like it helps you in a spiritual sense, it can help you in a mental, emotional, and physical, even financial sense in a way that can and does change your life. But for now, let's go old school, just for a moment, and let me explain just how the law of attraction works and how you are probably already practicing it in your life without even realizing it. So, I'm really going to age myself. Remember when we were kids and we played the yellow punch buggy game in the car, right? Is anyone with me, or was that just me? All right, for those of you that don't know the game, it is this. While you're in the car or you're walking out and about, if you see a yellow car, or in my case, because they were all over the road in the 80s, the yellow Volkswagen Bug, you would then punch, not aggressively, of course, the person you were playing the game with. My kids play now, but of course it is that any car that is yellow will do. And it is the catalyst for the punch. The game itself is really lighthearted, but in essence, it is the law of attraction. Maybe you're asking how, but it's all about what you are telling your mind to focus on, look for, and seek. If you've ever played the game, then you realize that as you begin to look for yellow cars on the road, you suddenly start seeing them everywhere. In the conscious mind, you may even think, wow, where did all these yellow cars come from? But the subconscious mind says, you asked me to look for a pattern, and that pattern is a yellow car, so here it is. I'm showing you what you asked me for. Like attracts like. Like thoughts attract like thoughts. Like feelings attract like feelings. Like actions attract like actions. What we focus on grows. The law of attraction is 100% rooted in cognitive behavioral therapy, or I should actually say that CBT is rooted in the law of attraction since the law of attraction came first. In fact, famous Greek philosopher Plato wrote as far back as 391 BC the quote that says, like tends towards like, which of course is what I just said. But let's go deeper so that those that are still skeptical don't brush off this conversation, don't brush off the law of attraction, because it really does have a powerful movement in your life if you use it correctly and you have all of the information that is needed to make this work for you. So when we're talking about focus, when we're talking about things growing, when we put our minds to it, let's look at the power of positive thinking. Right? In 2007, the Yonsei Medical Journal published an article with supporting evidence between positive, focused thinking and overall life satisfaction when it comes to achieving goals and desires. So there we see positive thinking really does move us towards our goals, which is why we use the law of attraction to begin with. We can go even further. Neurologists know that visualization helps us create better outcomes. You know, a lot of Olympic athletes will train in visualization before they ever take the course. And the scientists at the Wellcome Trust Center of the Institute of Neurology in London have discovered that people who visualize an outcome are more likely to bring the desired results into existence. This, of course, is just what the law of attraction tells us. It says that daily, vivid mental images of a desired outcome help to draw that desire to us. If you've listened to other Get Your Life Together Girl podcast episodes, you may have heard me say that the brain does not have a filter to know if you are visualizing something or if it's happening in real time. It just knows that you're providing it with information or instructions, wanted and not wanted. And this truly works to our benefit. In fact, neurologists at the Institute are quoted by saying the ability to construct a hypothetical scenario in one's imagination before actually occurring may afford greater accuracy in predicting the eventual outcome. Really good stuff. Then we can look at what therapists and many life coaches teach, which is that in order to be mentally well, we can support ourselves with the use of affirmations. Affirmations are another tool in the law of attraction arsenal. Researchers have found that people who consistently tell themselves that they will meet a goal or have a certain thing or feel a certain way are more likely to secure that outcome as well. Add that to the fact that affirmations are all about focus and have been proven to help with trauma recovery, aid in the treatment of anxiety and depression. They boost your physical health, and they really help you improve your planning skills as well, right? We begin to see where we are and where we want to go. We can see that using affirmation really does help us in our focus. So with all of those things, those are the underlying pieces of the law of attraction. There is great evidence out there supporting that this actually works. But what most people really don't understand is that you have to really know the full science behind it. Take out all of the woo-woo, take out all of the external things, and get down to just the facts, right? Now, I love a good woo-woo, I'm telling you, but this is actually something that you can use in your day-to-day life and really use it to your benefit. So let's talk about the brain and the law of attraction. If you've listened, you know that the brain science is my jam. So let's just dive right into it. You may have heard me or others talk about mirror neurons before. And if you haven't, let me briefly explain before we jump into the actual system of the brain that is responsible for how you can benefit by cluing into your focus, so that you can create those better outcomes, whether it is mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, or even financially, right? Lots of people try to use the law of attraction for financial benefit. And if that's something that you've tried and it hasn't worked, there are reasons. So a large part of the law of attraction is learning how to be open and lift our emotional and mental vibration out of low-lying energy. I want to remind you that everything in this world is energy. You are energy. Your thoughts are energy. Your emotions, energy. Everything that exists has some form of energy within its presence, or it wouldn't be. Okay? So keep that in mind. You have to have that. You have to know that energy is a thing. So the mirror neurons. Within our brain, these little pieces help us reproduce the behavior we observe. Think about what happens when you encounter someone who is in a nasty mood. Suddenly, you can find yourself feeling like you're in a nasty mood too, right? You're not sure why. Like, I was having a great day and I bump into this person and now I'm just unhappy. That is your mirror neurons in play. Or that old saying that you become the sum of the closest people that you hang out with, that is this too. It works in the opposite way too. So if you see someone radiating positivity, your mirror neurons will observe their behavior and draw that goodness to you too. When this occurs, the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, fires up and you feel happy. What we see is often what we project. Very important to understand that. With the discovery of the mirror neurons within the brain, we now have evidence that like does attract like. You just smiled, didn't you? It gets deeper, I promise. All right, we've got more to go. And just like your brain is always in motion, in action, the law of attraction is active and working around you, whether you're aware of it or not. And we use it daily, like I said, because you are mirroring things as you move through your day. Now let's go beyond the mirror neurons and let's talk about the activation center of the brain when it comes to the law of attraction, right? It's very important to understand this part. And this is the piece that actually makes this work. Whether you're talking about goals or you're talking about habits, this piece of the brain is incredibly important when it comes to creating what you desire. Okay, so this piece, the center, is called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. So what is a RAS? What is this reticular activating system? It's super cool, all right? So This is a small part of your brain. I'm serious, very, very small, but it has a major, major job. All of your senses, except for smell, because that goes through the emotional part of the brain, the amygdala, all of your senses are wired to this bundle of neurons that is about the size of your pinky finger. I told you it's a very small part of your brain, but it has such a big impact. I once heard someone compare the reticular system to being like the nightclub bouncer, and it's so true. The RAS, its job is to make sure your brain doesn't have to deal with more information than it can take in. So it's sort of that bouncer, the gatekeeper, so you don't go into sensory overload on a daily basis. This little section of your brain filters through a massive amount of information that your sensory organs, so your taste, your touch, sight, and hearing, are constantly, without fail, feeding the brain. The RAS gatekeeps what needs to be in the conscious mind, remember, to be safe, what needs to be paid attention to at the moment, and then it moves through what actually should be dealt with in the subconscious mind at a later time. Remember, again, the brain's number one job is to keep you safe, and that safety starts in the reticular activating system. Our brains are also wired to bring things to the very top of our consciousness if it is considered important. You know, it's that panic moment that we experience when we've forgotten something and then suddenly it pops into our mind. That's the RAS at work, right? How does all of this work when it comes to the law of attraction? Well, your thoughts and feelings are like a magnet. Remember, those are energy that causes the RAS to bring the right things into your field of focus. I'm going to say it again. What you focus on grows. Are you getting that understanding now? Do you see how this is more than just a woo-woo statement, but instead it is a true neurological statement? As your focus hits the RAS, something really interesting happens. The brain begins to look for patterns to support that focus. What is not commonly understood or talked about when we are really diving into the law of attraction is the role that our emotions play. And this is so important. You may have heard me say that we are meaning-making machines before. When we focus and have something we want to create within our mindset and our thought patterns, if we fuse emotions to what we desire, right, to a visualization, we fire up the RAS. This is the key. It is the missing key that maybe you have not picked up yet, right, of the law of attraction. Think about it this way. In order to create a memory in your mind, you must have an emotional response to the moment. The bigger the emotional response, the greater likelihood you will store that moment in the brain. Think about your favorite memory. When it comes into your mind, what happens? We begin to feel the emotions. This is the piece that we need to activate within ourselves to pull everything together and use the law of attraction and the RAS to our advantage. Now, remember how I told you that the brain doesn't have a filter to know the difference between real and imagined? Well, this is where we can brain hack the RAS. There's always a brain hack, isn't there? This is it. If we know that the law of attraction creates feelings, thoughts, and physical manifestations of the energy we are putting out in the world, we have the power to engage the RAS and use imagery or vivid visualization that's tied to emotions to create what we want. This right here, that statement, this action is the secret behind the secret, my friends, right? What we want allows us to feel as we create this movement in our mind as to how we will get there, and then we put ourselves into action. Where many put the law of attraction in the realm of some mystic or mysterious event, the reality is this is literally how your brain works, okay? It's just that you may not be taking advantage of it. You are wired to do this, so let's do it. real or imagined, we can create vivid mental images to trick the Raz into identifying and prioritizing your thoughts to help you reach a set goal. And just like the yellow punch buggy game, remember we talked about that in the very beginning, we begin to have this subconscious alerting of all of the opportunities around us. If we're not focused on them, it's not going to grow. We may miss them. If we're not in our present moment thinking, everything we've been asking for may just pass us by. But if we're focused, our brain is going to alert us that something that we've wanted or we've told our brain that we needed is right within our grasp. So back to the game. Remember how I told you that the yellow punch buggy game is the law of attraction in action? Yeah, so now I hope you can see it. You've told your brain, I want to see all of the cars. And then suddenly, there they are. There's all of the yellow cars. What is really interesting, though, is you created emotions by playing the game. Think about it. Maybe you laugh as you punched the person you're playing with, or you got upset because somebody punched you too hard. Whatever it is, you've created an emotional response to the moment and you've locked it in, therefore telling the brain, hey, identify this each time you see it. Think about how simple this example of the law of attraction is, and then think about how much you could create if you just stepped it up a notch. So how do we do that, right? How do we step it up a notch and make the law of attraction and the Raz work for us? And here's the deal. To make this an effective method of achieving or winning in your life or feeling fulfilled, you must be able to create something in your mind that fully activates the Raz. This is very important, right? And it could be as simple as a focus, right? Because the yellow punch buggy game is nothing but focus. But if you really want to use it, let's really go back to that example of an Olympic athlete, right? They're running the race long before they actually meet the track. So put yourself on a track right now, right? Get there with me. I want you to let yourself go, right? Create the image of you running. Feel your feet pounding the pavement. Taste the sweat dripping on your lips. Hear the sound of the crowd cheering you on. Feel your heart pounding in your chest as you cross the finish line. Can you feel it? This imagined sequence brings you one step closer into bringing it into reality. How? Your brain is setting the pattern that would allow you to have the motivation and the courage to take on the course. It also sets the pattern as to how you will achieve the goal. You stepped onto the track. You have found your feet moving. You feel all of the deep emotions of running. You could hear, taste. We've activated the Raz. Remember, this is the area where all of the sensory information comes in. And there's something else. If you practice the exact visualization that you just had enough, wouldn't you be able then to put it into action? Our brain loves patterns. It's why we talk about the repetitive nature of creating new habits. If you do it enough, it becomes your patterned action, right? So this is the exact same thing. Your brain will always look for safety first and then comfort as to what it knows has worked in the past. This is a big understanding that so many people fail to recognize when it comes to the law of attraction. We have to actually get into a place where we're visualizing the outcome with the emotions into it and make it a pattern. With this, there's something else. You must believe that the outcome is true and possible for you. We cannot affirm what we do not believe. We cannot create what we do not think is possible. You know that saying, I think it was Henry Ford that said, if you believe that you can do it, you will. If you believe that you can't, you can't. That's a paraphrase for you, but it's the truth. This is where most people say that the law of attraction simply doesn't work, because they say, I want to have this focus, I want this thing, I want to create this. But then in the background, they really make themselves a roadblock saying, I know it's not going to work for me. Negative roadblocks are never going to allow you to see the yellow cars on the road. If you will allow yourself to focus on the possibility before you even get into the real true need of whatever it is that you're trying to work towards, you will begin to see opportunities over negative roadblocks. So often when we talk about the law of attraction, many people think, I'm going to use it to do these big extravagant things. But in reality, we must always make our goals believable. If they're not believable to us, they're not likely to come about. And remember, when we're creating a believable goal and intention, that's the only time that we're going to be able to add emotion and creative visualization into the experience. Because if we don't believe it, the emotion is not going to come up. It's going to be like, yeah, that's just, a daydream. Your reticular activating system will always empower the law of attraction to bring opportunities into your conscious attention if you can make believable steps. That isn't to say don't get lofty with your ambitions, because by all means do it. I'm just saying there's a piece of the law of attraction that I'm going to talk about in just a second that many people fail to realize. And so always make sure that you are putting your goals, your desires, manifestations, whatever you want to call it, into reasonable actions. About that thing that most people really reject or don't think about. There's actually 4 warnings that I want to slap down in this conversation right now so that you can actually use this to your benefit, because there's been this sort of thought process that the law of attraction works without effort and there's no negative experiences within it. And I'm sorry, but that's not the truth, right? The brain is in charge here and it has no filter for good or bad, positive or negative. So let's talk about it. The first warning is you must put action behind your focus. Did I yell? Sorry. It's really incredible to me to watch people talk about the law of attraction and put all these focuses in, but then get frustrated because nothing occurs. Here's the deal. Many psychologists and therapists, including one of my very favorites, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, declined to be a part of the movie The Secret because he and others felt as if it was misleading to just say, wish for something and focus on it and it's going to fall in your lap. Sure, there are times when things seemingly appear for and to you, but if you think about it, you probably had an inner conversation about wanting or desiring that thing at some point. That doesn't mean that it was recent. It could have been years before, but you locked it in and then the opportunity was provided. A focus can lock in and create this background effort without even realizing it happens. So effort is needed in everything that we do. We have to show up. We have to show up to our lives. I absolutely love practicing the law of attraction. It's really beautiful, but you must know that you have to have effort in your life. $1 billion isn't going to fall from the sky, but a brilliant plan on how to make $1 billion might just unfold if you concentrate on wanting a plan to help you do so. Okay, warning 2 is something that I've already said, but I have to put it down as a listen up, please. Whatever you are focusing on, you must believe that it's possible. Again, I don't care how lofty your desires are. Make them big, but you must believe that it's possible. Remember, the core basis of all of this is like attracts like. Negative thoughts attract more negative thoughts. Positive thoughts, more positive thoughts. Think about the cycle of a thought. A thought comes in. The emotional body gets involved. Action is taken. Remember, action can be another thought. It's really that simple. If you tell yourself you want something and then you put 10 thoughts behind it as to why it will never happen, you are telling your RAS to not focus on this desire. This is where so many people get tripped up, and they really do not understand why this idea, this principle, this practice does not work for them. It's because they have put the roadblock up and gotten in their own way. Now, warning 3, the RAS and all of the other operating systems in your brain, again, I've said this before, do not know the difference between positive and negative. That is the emotional body's job. So you can create what you do not want just as easily and just as quickly as what you do. Did you hear me? Do you see why your thoughts and your focus is so important? You can tell yourself, I don't want that. And guess what's going to happen is that don't will appear, right? You have to be very clear with your focus, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Let's get to warning number 4, though. And it is the biggest one. And it is that you have to release the how, in air quotes, how something will come to be. You have to let things be as they are, or be what they should be. You can visualize how you want something to be, but you have to release the end result. And this is very important. Again, another reason why people say the law of attraction doesn't work, because they get what they want, but it didn't come to them exactly as they thought it would, or it didn't unfold exactly as they thought it would. So we have to release the how. When we're putting the energy, the thought out there that this is what I want, we have to be open for the yellow car to come into our lane and guide us to where we need to be, right? So all of those are sort of big warnings, but they are so necessary. And now let's move into taking all of this information, the brain science and the visualization and all of those things, and let's use it to transform your life. How about that? I'm going to give you a few vital terms to help move us forward really quickly. And of course, these are probably things you've already heard, but I want to break them down to a little bit of a simpler explanation. So the word manifestation. So the word is much like the law of attraction, where many people feel like that falls into the realm for only spiritual types, or it is woo-woo, or it doesn't actually work. But I want you to know that the actual definition of manifestation is to bring something into physical reality. Right? It comes back to the energy we put out. Having a positive energy or a vibrational match with your thoughts, emotions, and actions is the concept of like attracts like. That's it. There's not much woo-woo about that. Once you acknowledge that everything is energy, we can manifest anything that we put our mind and focus to. Again, positive or negative. Are we aligning with our true desires, right? So the next term is visualization. We've talked about that in the earlier time together, but I want to give you a definition so that it's super clear to you, even though everyone knows what visualization is. Sometimes the definition helps sort of unlock the piece that we say that we can't use. So visualization is really creating mental images, so more than one, or a movie in our head of what we desire. The clearer and more specific the picture or the movie, the more activating power it has within the RAS. In a private session, I often use visualization to help women process trauma, or, put an end date to something in their mind. We use visualizations to change relationships with anxiety and so much more. It truly is a powerful tool that every one of us has the ability to pull on. So if you can create a story in your head, which I know a lot of people are good at that, you can use your imagination to create something that you want. Okay, so don't look at this piece as, well, I can't do that. You're doing it all of the time. Now use it to your benefit. So next, I mentioned before the word affirmation. Affirmations are really just simple positive words, usually written down and spoken aloud regularly. Those are the essential pieces of the law of attraction. So let's go a little deeper, okay? Even with today's heightened awareness of the law of attraction in mainstream media and social media platforms, knowledge alone does not produce results. And that's really important. Remember, I said so many people are missing the brain piece of this, but there are other pieces that, are really misguided. And I want to give those to you so that anyone who has tried it or who, says this is just not for me, really understands that there's more to this than just thinking something and having it come to them, right? Let's get into those misguided truths that are out there, right? Misguided truths in air quotes. A misguided thought is that the law of attraction is all about belief. And that's all you need, just like I said. While belief plays an important role in manifesting your dreams, it's not the whole story. Belief amplifies your thinking. Your actions then follow, which then creates results. Remember, I said you have to be in your life. The flow of any manifestation process looks like this. Your thinking leads to your emotions. Your emotions lead to your actions. The action creates a habit, which turns into a result. Any goal you have ever achieved has followed this process, period. Think about it. I want to do something. Oh, yes, I feel like I can do it. I'm moving into action. I'm doing that action repetitively to meet that goal, and here are my results. The law of attraction works within that motion too. So if you aren't getting the results you desire, start to identify what you actually believe. Are you really in your desire? Are you really believing that it is possible for you? And then look at what you are doing to act on those beliefs. If you're not doing anything, the question really should be, why am I not taking action? Okay, so that's really important too. Another misguided teaching is that the law of attraction doesn't work for everyone. And I think that we know now that it does, right? Because if you have the power of thought, you have the ability to tap into your RAS system. You're using it every day. And when you do, the law of attraction will and does work for you. You actually have evidence of this working in your life before. And even if it's very simple, like the yellow cars on the road, you've seen it in action. So use it. Mistruth number 3, you don't need to ask for too much or you're taking it from someone else. Look, what's meant to be yours will be yours. And that's the truth. I love the example by Esther Hicks. She's a spiritual teacher, but she talks about money in a very interesting way. She says, we're not trucking in money from other planets, and yet there seems to be more made. And this is so true. So if you desire it, it's not too much to ask. Too much is really a judgment. And honestly, life is all about what we do with our resources and how we show up, not so much about what we have or how much we have. So if you want, desire something, put this into practice. Use it. Now, with all of that information and understanding of how the law of attraction works in the brain and in practice, let's go step by step and actually make it work for you in a new and better way. Step 1, ask for what you want. Every day, you have thoughts and desires, whether you witness them or not. What you think about, what you talk about, read about, anything that you give your attention to goes through the RAS and comes into your awareness. In this step, we have to become clear about what is in our thought process. What are we saying we actually want but are not doing anything about? When we know, we can shift our focus out of the lack thought, we don't have this or I don't have that, into making something work for you and actually asking for what you desire. That's step 1. Ask for what you want. Step 2, believe in your manifestations. We've talked about this repeatedly, about we cannot affirm what we do not believe, and maintaining a positive attitude is the key to making the law of attraction work for you. Believing you'll get what you want, what you desire, what you intend to create means that you go about your day with certainty. It's knowing that you may have limiting beliefs that need to be rooted out so that you can create what you want through a mindset of worthiness, desirability, capability, and loving action. It's choosing your yes and not allowing your mind or anyone else's opinions to get in the way. So often we have these ideas and desires and we tell someone else and they say, well, that's never going to happen. Or why would you want that? And we begin to put the roadblocks in place. We have to maintain the belief in order for us to really create what we want. So step 1, ask. Step 2, believe. Step 3, become an emotional or vibrational match to your desire. What you want and desire is generally never negative. Our desires are not rooted in negativity. You don't wake up and say, I want to have the worst day ever. Right? You never say that. No, we talk about wanting goodness to happen, but then our mirror neurons get in the way, our RAS fires up, and we kind of tumble down from there. So when we talk about being an emotional and vibrational match, we have to talk about gearing ourselves into positive emotions. And if you can't get into a positive emotion, a neutral emotion, not good or bad, is better than any negative, right? So our positive emotions would be love, joy, gratitude, appreciation. Neutral would just be a baseline. When we think about our desires, we want to practice the emotions of feeling good. Remember, because that's how the RAS is actually activated. So important. So I believe that this is possible, and I'm going to put all of my loving attention, my good feelings, my joy, my gratitude towards it instead of being the vibrational match of negativity. It's not going to happen. I don't deserve that. It's not going to work for me. There's also something really important that I want to hand over to you right now. And you know this to be true because you've seen it in your own life. But the more you practice a thought, the more you practice an emotion, the greater weight it carries in your mind. Think about it. When you've had a negative experience and you've just turned it over in your head over and over and over again, it's hard to shake because you have given the brain the signal to say, this is important. It carries weight. But think about it. The more you practice a thought, a good feeling thought, a desire, the more you practice the good feeling emotion with it, the more weight it will carry in your mind. This is an important aspect of the law of attraction, right? So this is how we are activating the signal within the brain to look for all of the yellow cars. Where are my opportunities? Okay. Step 4, we visualize. We've talked about it, but we want to get into a space where you can see what you desire. And if you have a hard time, because a lot of people will sit down to maybe write out or create the visions in their head of what they're wanting to manifest, and they get stuck, right? They're like, I cannot visualize. This is too hard. I don't know what it would look like. And what that means is you really haven't given enough thought to the actual desire. Okay, so get really, really detailed about what you want. But if you still have a hard time, guided meditation is an excellent way to help you start the visualization process. I would say to you, don't start trying to visualize what you are intending to create with the guided meditations. Just pick something that speaks to you and allow the teacher to take you on the guided journey, right? Because once we begin to use this piece of our brain, it becomes easier for us to do it on our own. Practice makes progress, right? So Practice your visualization skills. You do this all the time. You think about how you get into the car and you go to the next place. You're visualizing your route as you get into the car. So just begin to do this when it comes to your desires. And step 5, create an inner dialogue. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to the law of attraction. They just say, create the image and then wait, right? And it doesn't work. I want you to remember that anything you think about daily is going to impact your emotions and your actions. Again, I'll say it, what we focus on grows. Right? If we create an inner dialogue with ourselves by infusing thoughts of what we desire, the changes that we really want to make, what will happen? Those thoughts become the priority. The RAS begins to work together. The mirror neurons start looking for like things, and we infuse our desires and begin to see the opportunities. When we infuse thoughts of desire, we change how we show up, and therefore we change how we feel. But this is another warning. Make sure that you pay attention to your inner dialogue, right? Make sure that you are in a positive space. You have to instill positive thoughts in order to have positive outcomes. Again, as you're putting the energy out, you're going to receive like energy. Step 6, build affirmations that are tied to your desires. A lot of times, people will use affirmations that are somewhat vague, right? No, you need to get so detailed with your affirmations. One positive thought leads to 100 more behind it, and soon your energy changes and you begin to attract like-minded people, like-minded experiences, all of those things into your life. So create affirmations that actually work for you. Go for the affirmations that are tied to the desire, not, I want to make money. That's great. That's really vague. What is it that you are needing? What is very specific about what your desire is? I want to get healthy. Great. That's a blanket statement. What is the true affirmation? So build them out. They do not have to be long. They can be very simple, but they must match what you're going for. Step 7, let go. Once you have your desire in motion and you believe that it's coming, it's time to let go. That doesn't mean that you don't take action, because that's the next step. It just means that you don't hold on so tightly that you create expectations, because that leads to disappointment, right? That's the place where many people say, well, I asked for this, but I got that, and I'm not happy about it. You have to let go and allow your life to create the path in which you are supposed to take. So that's step 7. Let go of the outcome. Just let it be. Step 8, action and effort. Okay. What steps do you need to take to put these new opportunities, all those yellow cars that are coming into your life, into action, right? Hold lightly and move into your desire. You don't have to have everything feeling like it's a struggle, but instead you really have to put action in place. We can't just say, I want something, and have the thought, have the feeling about it, create the visualization, and then let it sit. It's not going to provide the effort. We have to move into action. And so that's really important. 8 steps, and fairly simple, all working with your brain and your thinking patterns, your emotional body, and getting into a space where you have the ability to create what you desire. Like attracts like. There's one more thing, and it's not a step per se, but I believe it's one of the most important parts of the law of attraction. In fact, I believe it's one of the most important factors in life, period. So if you're practicing your thoughts and your desires while you are taking steps, I want you to find gratitude in the moment. Infuse positive gratitude into what it is that you're trying to create. I will tell you that personally in my own life, as I began to really practice gratitude more and more over the last 10 years, there has been a massive shift within how I see things. What once felt really hard is a lot softer and easier to manage. What once seemed like major things are now small lessons and movements in life. I don't get ruffled as much because I know that there's something within the moment that I can be grateful for. There's a lesson, there's something for me. Gratitude is in everything. And I believe that once you find the positive movement of gratitude, the Raz opens the door to what you want, in your life so much faster and in such a much more grounded way. For anyone saying, okay, I've done all those steps, I've listened to all the things, I've read all the books, and it doesn't work. Let me tell you, there is a reason why you're falling short, okay? And it's likely that you are too vague. We talked about that just a moment ago. You are too vague with your desires. Your brain loves patterns, remember? So give it the pattern. Get detailed, right? Say, I need $9,212 to cover my student loans or whatever it is. Get that ridiculous with the details because that's what the brain is looking for. The other thing too is you might be getting a little too desperate, right? We're holding too tightly to the end result, to the thing coming into our lives in a certain set time or in a certain set way. And when we hold tightly, we create resistance. Resistance is a negative emotion. If like attracts like, what's going to happen? We're going to have more resistance handed to us because that's the emotion that we are portraying. Desperation is always going to give you the opposite of your desired result. Don't get desperate. If this isn't working for you, you may want to check yourself here to say, am I holding on too tightly? And the other thing is that a lot of people will try to create the same result as someone else. And I will say to you, as I have said over and over again, you are not anyone else and no one else is you. When it comes to using the law of attraction and your brain, you must create desires that are singular and are directed at your life. So important. And the last place you may be getting hung up is your attachment to what you believe will create happiness in your life. Physical items will never be a true source of happiness. Happiness is an internal job. It is an energy. It isn't bought. Possessions are fleeting. The question is, what do you want on a real level? All of those things are wonderful to have, the possessions, but are they actually going to add to your life? That is how you should be using the law of attraction because we are always attracting things. It seems we can always get focused on something big that we want in our lives, and we forget that there are small movements in our lives every single day, small things that we've said we wanted. It's the yellow cars. We just have to bring our focus into those things. It could be that you all of a sudden got an unexpected job promotion or a raise or a new client or a compliment that you weren't expecting from somebody who you thought didn't like you. We're always attracting things, but we have to put our focus in it. We have to know that we have the ability to create whatever we want in our lives. You can call it the law of attraction, you can call it prayer, you can call it wishing, manifestation, desire. It literally doesn't matter. I just want you to know that this is the way that the brain works. This is what you are telling your brain, and these are the results it is producing. And now that you know that, don't you think it's really important to get really clear about what you want and desire in your life? As far as is the law of attraction real? In my book, it is. You just need to know that there are steps and then get to practicing it. It does take time though. Life has a rhythm to it. Say what you want, move into action, get into noticing, and do the things. It's really that simple. Give it a try with something small. Maybe it's the yellow cars. For a friend of mine, she always notices the hearts in any place, whether it's on the sidewalk or in the clouds. Get to focusing. Do something so simple and watch it show up in your life. You're using the Raz. You're using the law of attraction. You're using your mirror neurons. All you have to do is put the steps in place. Pull it all together. You deserve to have a life that you're excited about. You deserve to feel the magic of your creation and your existence. And it all starts with you. It all starts with what you tell and feed your brain. And once you get into a place where you're very focused on that, you can create anything you desire. After all, That is an essential step into getting your life together. Thank you so much for listening to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. If you've enjoyed these tips for bettering your life, please turn on notifications to be alerted each Tuesday and Thursday when a new episode is released. If you're seeking daily inspiration and additional tools and tips, you can follow me on social media at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Or you can visit the show notes, blog, and my website at getyourlifetogethergirl.com. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.